Double start.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas and we have wonderful guests. And every weekend, Michelle and I do a spiritual related show. And today we're going to talk about ascension into the universal heart. And there are clear paths of ascension mapped out for each one of us on our soul's journey. As we listen to and follow our heart, we are united with the Christ light within. As we engage in continual prayer, meditation, communion, our way is lit to follow our unique path and participate in God's divine plan. For those of us seeking and constantly trying to adjust and do our best, the message from Father God comes forth, well done. So, without further ado, let me bring on Michelle Marie Angel. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
This is an interesting topic. And I was thinking that, you picked this probably from one of your books, Free. Is that the one from Free, Forever Free?
Yeah.
Celebration and the Holy Spirit of Truth.
Yeah, a lot of these themes come through all of my books, and unity consciousness and working in cooperation and coming together with shared intention and manifestation. It's all about union with God, union with each other. So that theme really runs through all of my books.
And rightly so, especially how timely at this time to be coming forward with this type of thing. I was wondering if you could describe from your perspective ascension. Some people say it's not ascension, it's transition. Ascension means you have to die first. And then there's the talk about we don't have to die, but we're going to have a different body, but it's not going to be the same. All kinds of talk like that. Not that it really matters, because who really knows? Nobody's gone through it before. So anyway, what's your take on that?
Actually, we're ascending when we go through the natural process of evolution. And so as we evolve, we just keep getting better. I mean, that's what evolution is. We grow and we make positive changes, and we do it because we want to increasingly do our best, and our best keeps getting better. And so we want to keep improving ourselves. I mean, self-knowledge and self-improvement is sort of natural to our soul. So ascending is going higher in our ability to meet our divine mission and our own divinity, to realize and express our own divinity. So it really is happening. And so we raise our vibration, because if we become more loving and more kind and more truthful, then we are ascending. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of words and talk about words and mincing words and all that stuff, but
semantics.
Semantics. I don't get caught up in that net, because really, the more you ascend, so to speak, you could even use different words, but unify. the less words even matter, the more love matters, and that vibration and how you feel when you're around people and if you resonate.
And
And
telepathy, just think about that once. You just know what the other person wants or thinks or what have you. I don't even know how many words, if words are even involved in that necessarily.
because we have soul intelligence, and our body has intelligence, and our mind has intelligence, and we're really using these different realms or dimensions are based on different intelligences that we all have. We all have these different intelligences, and when we listen to our body, we know what, foods are good for us. When we listen to our soul, we know if we've done right or wrong. When we listen to our minds, we can put together what we've learned already and know if it's a good choice or not, a good decision.
That makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
like that explanation. So basically, the idea is to recognize and be able to connect to our divine inner self, which is connected to not only our higher self, because we only have a small aspect of our spiritual self within us, because we can only hold so much in this body, as I understand it anyway.
It's kind of the both and. As a spark of God,
Mhm.
that's like the fractal of the hologram. And so we have the connection. If you consider the soul as a part and God as the whole, we have part to whole calibration. And
Oh, I like that. I like that. I haven't heard that before. I like that.
yeah, I think that's in my book, Live Love. But the part to whole calibration is when we, and that's what this talk is really about. It's about communion with God, because if you talk to God and you relate to God, that prayer and that communication with God through prayer and meditation brings you closer and closer to his vibration and to our true self vibration. So really it's one and the same. Our higher self is comes from source. We are a spark off the
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. I mean, if we're
like off the old block.
yeah, if we're a spark of the creator of all that is, we're a part of him and her and all that. So that's
Yeah. I actually have this one prayer and meditation book, and it looks like this. It says prayer and meditation, and it says it's by Jesus and Kuthumi. And there's a poem in there that partly inspired what I chose to talk about, and it's a short one, and it's called Two Doers. And you had mentioned that God's message to us, and we're talking about all the people here watching, all the people that are striving for truth, all the people who are striving to help the underdog, rescue the children, make things better, get the truth out to alleviate and prevent harm, in many different ways that we've been exposed to in the recent past.
yes.
So this is to all the people that I feel like the messages God is trying to recognize and get through to us and say this, well done. So I'm going to read this short little poem, Two Doers. Communion supreme, ecstasy's dream, I and my Father are one. Communion's pure gleam, sweet approbation, every deed now well done. Service is raising, as life I am praising, peace from the Father, the Son, light resurrecting, each one perfecting. Here's that sweet voice, 'tis well done.
That's nice, and people are stepping up. I'm starting to feel more and more proud of my fellow Americans and brothers and sisters, even the ones that are from other countries that are standing up
I was going to say globally.
Globally, yes.
Yeah,
Planet
globally.
wide. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that are coming up and stepping up to the plate. And, you know, God is personal too, and God notices. And, you know, God wants everyone to know, you know, I'm with you. I love you. Well done. I see you. You know, I think that's the message this week from
Yeah.
God.
I see you.
I see you, and I see what you've done. And I want to tell you, I like it. Well done.
Most definitely. Yes. And the truth is coming out exponentially, so rapidly. It's not even funny. You know, there is something that I'd like to share, that it kind of is very interesting. And that is the angel number 17.
Okay.
Let me share that. There you go. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that, I mean, this is just recent. Drake has suggested looking up 17, and we see it all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
And it's interesting when I looked it up that it symbolizes manifesting good fortune, new beginnings, and spiritual maturation. And that's exactly what's happening right now.
It is. It is. Absolutely.
Well, fancy that.
It's actually also my birthday, 1/7.
The 17th of this month?
No, 1/7, which is 1 is the month of January and 7 is the day.
I didn't know how you meant that. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, the month and day of my birthday. We don't want to say the year. We'll have to go back into the ancient times.
Well, I know my ancient times are worse than yours, but my ancient year adds up to 17.
Ooh.
It does. It's amazing. It
Yeah.
surprised me.
That's
Okay.
great.
So anyway, and I couldn't help but put Pegasus up because for some reason, Pegasus has been on my mind.
I love Pegasus. Yeah. That's a very good symbol for victory.
Yeah. And well, you know what else is kind of interesting is that when I did a show with Jenny Lee, she had mentioned something about winged creatures, and I don't know why, but that's what came to mind. If there's a connection, I have no idea, but there might be. Sometimes I surprise myself. But anyway.
So, you know what I was thinking? Sometimes this is just spontaneous, but in the book, Forever Free, I can't remember which poem I asked you to read.
I know. I got it. I got it. And I wanted to share this with the audience as well, because I think it's fascinating. And that is the poem that we're reading today. My son and I were out on a trail, and usually when we go out, we do a little prayer together. And I have him, and I bring, in addition to a prayer I do, which is from Commander Thor, by the way. And then also I usually read a poem or two from one of your books, and it varies which book it is. And I had brought Forever Free with us this, was that yesterday morning? Yesterday morning, I brought this with me. And this was before I got an email from you or anything like that. And I said, pick out the poem. And lo and behold, I come back later that day, getting, looking at what, I'm going to do the show about the next day. And sure enough, he picked the exact same poem that you did. And I'm going, there's some kind of synchronicity there.
I love it. I love it.
And then
we're all guided by the same source, so we're in tune. That's absolutely excellent.
And then I got the most astounding picture, because it happened right. I mean, as soon as I even started it as the prayer was still going on, because I knew the end of it, the so be it. So anyway, and I got that picture, that beautiful picture that it looks like there's the sun is coming up over the red rocks. And then there's a big pink looking planet almost. And then there's a moon inside of it. It's on, I've posted it. I don't have it. I wonder if I could show it to you. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can.
Awesome.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. Hang on one second. Bear with me. Let me find it. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it would be better. Okay. Let me go back here. Okay. I think I found it. So let me see if I can bring it up.
Great.
And I'm gonna do. Oh, shoot. That one's on a different page. I'm going to have to get it off of a different page. Hang on a minute. I'm going to have to get it off of my Facebook page instead of my other page. Sorry. Bear with me here. I wasn't planning on putting this up, but I think you'll appreciate it when I do. There it is. Okay. Now I can share and find it for you. Sorry it took so long.
That's okay.
You should be seeing it now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that awesome? Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. And look at that. There's a pink moon, then there's a pink, whatever it is. And then there's another lighter colored one inside of that one, and then another one. Like there's three moons and the sun. I'm just calling them moons for the sake of, I don't know what to call them. But anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that awesome, though?
It's like an orb, an angelic presence.
Yeah. That's the same time we picked the poem.
Wow. Wow.
So, that's what I thought. I kept saying it to him too. Yeah. I can't believe it because it's uncanny. So I stopped sharing, right?
Yes.
Okay. I accidentally hit that sooner than I meant to. All right. So anyway, I just found that rather fascinating. So I had to mention it. Okay, where did we leave off now? Before I really
we're going to read that poem that you.
The world. Okay, yeah, this is the poem that was picked out.
The one we were just talking about, and then you saw the picture, and you were out in the desert reading.
I can start to forget things really fast sometimes lately. No, I got it right here open in front of me. So this one is called, and I really like this, A World of Givers. Not a world of takers, a world of givers. So there is only one ultimate reason for living. It's to find God, our source, and to aid in his giving. Abundance is natural when you know how to create. We must have goodwill to open heaven's gate. By transcending self and living for others, we become God's blessing for sisters and brothers. Eternal joy is both found and expressed when we find our true self and become our best. By clearing, releasing, and letting go, we tear off the shields that prevent love's flow. We eradicate ego, image, and vanity. We realize the truth that saves our sanity. We sit, we get still, we become an observer. We surrender to spirit to become God's server. We wipe away confusion in the presence of peace. All worries, concerns, and problems cease. We become the heart, chalice, open to receive, filled with truth. There's nothing else to believe. Satiated with love right down to our core, our cup overflowing, we couldn't want more. Filled with passion and enthusiasm sparking, we create with joy. Our souls are harking. Soul rejuvenated, aligned, and attuned, we're wealthy, being a spiritual tycoon. Our cup overflowing, we know no lack, while feeling compassion, just want to give back. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. I like that term that came through, spiritual tycoon, because our real wealth.
I did too. That one stood out in my mind. Yes.
Yeah. Our real wealth is what we take with us when we go. And what we take with us when we go are, everything we've become, all of our life lessons, all of that.
And we don't need a U-Haul to haul it away.
We don't need a U-Haul. No, because it's light. And we are light, and we've actually been creating our light bodies. And I actually realized lately it's been coming to my awareness that, I'm perceiving that, wow, my light body is really developed and intact, and I can feel it. And so I wield the light more. Our light bodies, when we're ascending, if you will, we're paying attention to that divine spark. Whenever we go in and prayer, communion, communicate with God, our creator, we're becoming more and more light because we absorb it. We become one with God, our Father. And so we just become that more and more light, and it stays with us, and we become it. We are actually all the truth seekers. We're facing the light within, without, the light within. And the great revival that I mentioned in the book Forever Free, in the first chapter, the stars do come out at night. People are going to God more and more. We need God during these times of cataclysm and crisis in our world, because we're facing things that are extremely difficult. It's like a lot of David and Goliath situations, and we need that spiritual power. And so we just go back and get more with our direct connection. And that direct connection is really what we're about right now, because if you give your power over to other, like, experts or officials or people with titles or roles that
Minister, pastor, priest,
quote, leaders or experts, no, we're our own leader. We have our own direct connection, and that's what that revival thing is all about. And that's what I see happening amongst humanity, that great revival, the stars coming out at night, which are all the humans, which are stepping up to the plate, which are researching the truth, sharing the truth, standing for the truth, and they just keep on keeping on. And so another part of that is to remember to, we're all on a journey and we have our difficulties. And so to have compassion and to remain unified in love, even if we're on different parts of the path, or people have not shed their imposed belief systems. And some of those imposed belief systems are like walls that shut out the light of truth, and those are dissolving. And what's going to dissolve those walls but love, unconditional love? And so I know in my own journey, I have had to be more compassionate, because just because I saw something that was, to me, truth, common sense, and so forth, doesn't mean everybody else did. We made different decisions. And,
well, if that's true, how come it wasn't on the news? How many times have you heard that?
Well, and so that's the thing too, that's actually part of our spiritual evolution, is to trust God and go within and find out the truth from within, because ultimately we are each individually responsible for our own decisions. No matter what anybody says, no matter how much anyone tries to persuade us, no matter how much anyone tries to deceive us, if we're attuned to God, then we're going to know the truth. We're going to have that inner knowing, that intuition, that conscience that says, no, that's not right. I have felt that before, and I've made decisions that were like, probably, well, they didn't seem worldly. Let me put it that way. And one example would be when I quit my tenured teaching position and sold my paid off house to go across the country to work with a spiritual author. And my soul was elated. And, I had people telling me, oh, that's basically indicating they thought it was a poor decision, because I had this worldly stuff going on. I had a tenured teaching position. I had, a house that my husband and I had built, and it was paid off. But no, I followed my heart. So that was one. Then another one was when I quit my job, which I'd mentioned before, because we were asked to promote these things, way back in 13, 14 years ago. And my conscience, my inner light, which I had already been developing, and I'd quit. I hadn't watched television for like 8 or 9 years. And so my inner light information was stronger than the programming. And so it guided me on making the right decision. So those two things, I made financial sacrifices to follow my light within and to do the right thing. Basically, what I felt in my conscience was doing the right thing and following my heart. So
I did much of the same thing in a slightly different way. I knew where things were going in the healthcare field, and I wasn't in tune with it. And I eventually had to leave. And people thought I was crazy. Family members thought I was absolutely crazy because I have all this education and I could easily, get a job doing something that you basically know sometimes you're lying about. I can't do it. Anyway.
And how many people had to quit their jobs because they were really given an ultimatum: do something against your will and against your conscience or lose your job. And a lot of people did that. And so again, the love,
they are heroes in my book.
They are heroes. So the love and compassion increases, and we are more we're more likely to honor people that follow their heart and their conscience nowadays, I think, than to call people, crazy. I think name calling is going by the wayside.
I hope so. That's never been productive.
You're a conspiracy theorist. You're this, that. That's going by the wayside because so many
QAnon. People, that's the latest one. It's QAnon. The Sound of Freedom is QAnon. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with QAnon.
Well, I'll tell you, for years, and that whole movement is much older than what they call Q research. The research that people, where they feel truth and they do research on truth because they're following their intuition and their gut feeling. That's been going on for a long time, and I was in that mode way before that other movement came up with the 1-7.
Yeah.
But what it is, I described it to a family member that it's a research campaign, really, and it's sort of like Socrates. It's a question asking thing, and then you go find the answer.
Digital soldiers, they were calling them too, and it really, it's amazing. They take one guy down and a bunch of other ones put up the same thing and things like that. That was really a very awesome thing to see happening.
And
research that was being done too.
Yeah. A lot of the digital soldiers and digital light warriors were not really like out in the public. A lot of people were getting and sharing information, and the anonymous part means you weren't really taking credit or saying who you really were. And most people were sharing information anonymously for free. So they were giving. Talk about a world full of givers. They gave their time to do research and really dive into things. I did quite a bit of it myself. There was a panic at the DNC when a certain person became president, when they never thought she would lose. And so there was a panic conference, and there was a journal that came out, and it had all the members of the conference. And they said, don't share this, don't share this. Well, apparently a copy got out, and I got a copy, and I actually made a spreadsheet. I went through the whole thing, and I made a spreadsheet, and I got all the names and all their affiliations. And I do have that on one of my computers, and it's nothing I've shared yet, and it'll be interesting to go back and look at it to see who's been in the news that's on that list. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, a lot of people are staying behind the scenes, and, when they're tapped by God, when they're tapped by their soul, when they follow their heart, when it's their time to come out and shine as a star. They do. It's when it's your time, you come out. Like, when did you start doing your program?
about 10 years ago.
Okay, so see, you were already on the ball, and when that other stuff started coming out, you already had a platform for people to talk about the new truth that was coming out, the latest truth that was coming out.
Yeah.
Yep, and there have been other platforms that have been here for way a long time because of, they existed when I started learning what I call the outer truth and the inner truth. The inner truth I get direct from meditation and communion and prayer. And then the outer truth is basically what's going on in the world that we've been lied to about. We learn that there are, yeah, come to find out. But the false narratives, the more they push a narrative, the more you can see what they're hiding.
Yes, I mean? And it's more blatant than ever, really.
It really is, and you start researching and researching and researching, and then it's the same old, players and everything like that. So
now, and now as long as we brought this up, we might as well hit the topic of the sound of freedom and all the research that's going on behind about trying. It actually looks like there's a major attempt to try to discredit it, and I think that's missing the whole point.
I think that is a point, though. The point is, if they're trying to hide it and discredit it, why? Why? Is it threatening to somebody? Is the truth threatening to somebody? Because there's been enough research, videos, and firsthand information. People are becoming more critical thinkers. Okay, what's an opinion? What's a fact? What's firsthand information as opposed to secondhand information? These critical thinking skills we are sharpening now to find out what the truth is. So firsthand information is somebody who's already been trafficked, for example. I met somebody from that same country who was taken from her mother and used and abused as well. And that was after I saw it.
I have to add here, while you're talking on that subject, that I have 2 potential people that had their children kidnapped who want to give their testimony. And I want to give them a platform so they can tell you how it feels and that it exists. And it was right here in the United States.
Well, now people are thinking more critically, and they're not just believing what they're told, but they're looking for actual evidence. We have videos of people who have rescued children. We have videos of the children that were rescued. We have photographic evidence, and it all builds up to point to the facts. And so people, their opinions and their narratives are falling apart.
I find it humorous myself. We have a question up there. It says 10 years ago, Ascension was a big topic being predicted to happen January 2014. Nothing really noticeable happened. How is this going to be different? What's incorrect about 2014? We weren't ready.
Well, it depends on where you're looking. It depends on where you're looking. If I notice something happening, I notice people changing the way there's new language. There's people changing how they process their feelings. There's people who are interacting in different ways. There are people who are consciously watching their thoughts, feelings, words, and actions. There are people who are consciously talking about raising their vibration and keeping it high. It's happened to me.
It's happened to me too.
Yeah. Speaking of firsthand information, each person can look at themselves. I'm different than I was in 2014. I was different in 2014 than I was in 2007. I definitely see my spiritual growth and the inner change that is permanent. And that's ascension. I have become better. Absolutely. And I think I've observed it with other people as well.
That is so true. I didn't even think of that when you started saying that. I see the changes now. I didn't see the changes then, but I do see changes in people now. And people are talking about the very things you brought up, that they didn't talk about that much then. You know, it was more of a nebulous type of thing that, you know, they weren't really sure, you know, but it's interesting. Here's another question by Jay Thought.
Oh, can I say one more thing about that? Also,
Yeah.
when you have subtle changes, you don't notice them as they're happening. Like as a parent and your child is growing up, you know, they're growing in increments, little by little. But someone might come see them after they haven't seen them for 2 and 3 years, and they say, "Oh my, how you have grown." You know, it's stunning, you know, the difference. And the same thing with people. I mean, even when you're, you know, when you're looking at things incrementally and it's very subtle, you don't notice. But if you compare years ago to right now, then you can see the difference.
Definitely. Uh, you know what came to mind when you said that? You said about not seeing somebody for a couple of years who was growing up, and you know who came to my mind was Barron Trump, and you go, "Oh my God, look at how tall he got!"
I know, I know.
Bless his heart.
I know,
But wow,
I know.
you know that would
God
be
bless
quite a
him.
shot. Yeah, he's so tall. This is amazing. Anyway, do
Yeah.
you and all your ancestors all share the same higher self? Do twin flames have the same higher self? Can someone drains from their higher self more than others that share the same higher self? Do you,
Well, ultimately, there's one. There's only one unified
source?
consciousness. And so we're, in some ways, you know, we are all one. I and my Father are one, and that unifies us. And so, and truly, it can't be drained because the light is infinite. And so the more you get and the more you spend, you get more. So like, let's just say I'm drawing from, you know, I'm drawing from source with my Christ light within, and I'm sharing that light and spending that light on helping my brothers and sisters. There's limitless supply of light from our source. There's limitless supply of love from our source. The more we share from our love and our light and our compassion, then we just grow and we get more and more and more. And the more gratitude we have, we get more and more and more. It's really actually a science. And the science really is really based on know thyself, thy true self.
That is so okay. Here's another one. Jay Thought's got another question for you. There we go. You give them such good answers too. So, how is ascension different from the nature maturing and growing wiser of the individual?
It's all nature. It's our nature. And as a matter of fact, when you commune with nature, you're communing with God in that same essence. And I think you can speak to that, Gail.
Yes, I don't think that's exactly what she meant, though. It says, how is ascension different from the nature maturing and growing wiser? Um,
Our essence, as we pray and commune and unite with God, we are ascension is basically going higher up in intelligence through prayer and communion.
she
And
meant natural, not nature.
okay,
Just to
but
clarify.
but
Okay.
it actually is natural and organic, you know, just like a plant, you know, it generally grows up. And as our souls, we grow up and higher, and our light gets brighter. And that is, from my perspective, from what I can see and experience, it is natural to grow and evolve. And I think that with resistance to growth, if we get stuck or anything, eventually we're going to get knocked out of our stuckness, you know, because we learn our lesson. We might get hit with a feather, and if we don't notice, it might be a pebble, we might not notice. It might be a bigger stone, and it's like, oh. But when we get the boulder, we're like, okay. And those, you know, metaphorically for experiences that are challenging.
Yeah. And some of the greatest warriors get the hardest experiences to go through.
Because we can.
So, Okay. Let's see. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yep, there is something about some people still won't. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Lenny D. Hi, Lenny. Some people still won't acknowledge the corruption that is in the world, even though evidence is in black and white in front of them. Ignorance is bliss. That's what they say. It's not bliss, though, because it keeps you in a low vibration, and you don't have the awareness that you need to evolve your soul.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to say about that, other than the fact that I think more and more people are acknowledging the corruption because it keeps hitting closer to home. It keeps hitting inside our families, and it hits inside our budget and inside our families, and it affects us personally, more and more people personally. And so, and then if it's reaching more and more people, then at least you know somebody who's acknowledging the corruption. And that it's being broadcast, I think, farther and wider than ever before.
Yes, WikiLeaks dumped all their files. I think McAfee did too, and he had given a free computers to the government, and they had spyware in them.
I love that story. I love that.
I do too. And then he finds out that they're the worst human traffickers of them all.
Right.
And drug dealers. Mm-hmm. So that's what our government's been doing behind our back while we've been sitting there. And look, and then I posted this one other picture. It shows a picture of, well, maybe I should just show it. Let me see if I can find it. Hang on. Maybe say something else and I'll find this picture because it's kind of funny.
Okay. I'll say something else. Okay. I'm gonna actually ask you when you're done with that picture. I'm gonna ask you to read a poem, and I know I'm springing this on you, but the thing is, it's on page 17.
Oh, for pity's sake!
When you're done with that, I'm gonna ask you to read a poem on page 17, since that's the number of the day.
It certainly is,
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I was looking for, and I thought it was here.
And we can just keep repeating the message. Well done. Well done. Everybody's doing such a great job. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have, potluck community festivals and share food and music and dance, and we're going to celebrate. We're bringing heaven to earth, peace on earth, and we're doing it with the sword of truth.
Yes, I'm looking for this. I'm still looking, I'm afraid. Oh, here it is. Let me see if I can make it big. Okay. Now I can share it. Okay. This is about, I'm afraid this is a little bit about the justice system. And seeing corruptions and not seeing corruption.
I was going to say the what system?
Yeah, the unjust fake justice system. Okay, here we go. I put that up today. I don't know if you can read it or not. But some of the victims crime, smoked weed, falsely accused, possessed coke, sold weed, the gun barrel too short. But meanwhile, at the White House,
yeah, I mean, that's very typical. Everything is inverted. That was the whole takeover, the inversion of the good people, being incarcerated and the bad people controlling the justice system, which is becoming very evident now. We have evidence that it's evident.
Well, what I find interesting is they say, well, if they can do this to Trump, they can do this to you. They've already done it to all kinds of people.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't know it because they operate at those higher levels. The lower echelon of people get slammed all the time for many times bogus stuff or victimless crimes and things like that. So that's a whole other area. Anyway, we got some more questions that came up.
Yes. There's one about narcissism.
Yes. Is it a disease? And what is What is a soul disease? How do you forgive a narcissist? Can a narcissist be healed and not be a narcissist?
Is narcissism a disease? Dis-ease means off balance, and it's off balance as a soul. So interesting, the second question is, what is a soul disease? Because it would be a blight against the soul, because souls are divine, and souls are givers and unified, and we're connected. Narcissism comes from the thought that we are separate. And so the separate person who puffs up their own ego and uses and abuses people and wants all the attention, and there's a whole set of behaviors that go along with narcissism. And actually, that's actually a very notorious lesson for light workers for going through the process. And because you have to learn how to manage energy and learn how to love yourself. So the narcissist doesn't love you, they love themselves. Okay. And so the opposite of that is, but they think of themselves as like their ego and physical and looks and all this stuff, they're all that. But the person who's identified as spirit, then, they want to give, they know we're connected, you feel you're connected, you feel that love, you have a higher vibration. It's a big vibrational difference. It's almost like being in a different an octave or dimension of frequency. So forgive a narcissist. Well, you forgive a narcissist by actually thanking them for the lesson and drawing your boundaries and having self-love, taking a stand. And when somebody engages in despotism, in other words, they mistreat you for, whether, maybe because they're a narcissist, then that's something to grow from. Self-love, boundaries, and then how do you forgive like a younger soul or a younger child who does something that doesn't know any better, like, before you learn to use the toilet, for example, why didn't you use the toilet? They didn't know any better yet. But souls are like that. Sometimes they don't know any better. So you can forgive them, but at the same time, draw boundaries and do not enable them and let that happen. You're not doing anybody any favors by enabling that kind of behavior. You need to put your foot down, be firm, set boundaries, communicate boundaries, and don't allow people to walk all over you, which a narcissist can and will do. It's not okay. You stand up for yourself. And all narcissists can be healed, and you help that healing process by saying, no, this behavior is not okay.
Exactly.
And when each of us will get to places where our ego is cracked again, and we can say, oh, my behavior, this behavioral pattern was wrong. And I vow to make, to be better. And so then you start noticing that behavior pattern when you engage in it. And the first step is awareness. The second step is practice. And the third step is anchoring in the new higher vibrational divine behavioral pattern. And that's our growth. And again, it keeps going back to that prayer and communion. We need help. We need to be humble. We need to go for the light, that infinite light that's within ourselves, going to God, asking for help. And, that's a major theme that comes through for, a lot of our talks is remember to ask for help. Remember to ask for help. Help is around.
And being specific is helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
When you ask for help.
And then using your power, using your divine authority power and setting your intention, because your light grows and you can wield that light and command that light. That's your Christ self that we need to exercise.
Exactly. This is just a comment that Lenny wanted to make, and it is that the ego is just the safekeeper for the soul. The soul loves everybody and everything, which in this world can be dangerous. When the ego becomes overpowering to the soul mission, you have trouble.
Yeah. The ego, it's not a bad thing. It's just something that it's like the casing of an egg, before the chick breaks out. It has a purpose. And then once its purpose is complete, then it cracks open, and then the chick comes out, or the butterfly comes out of the chrysalis. It has a purpose, and it helps somebody to develop their individual uniqueness. There is a purpose for it, but then you grow out of it, and you don't become identified as that is your only identity. And so, because the ego might create a false image, like I am only physical, I am only of the material world, everything that's important is beauty and money, and that's not the truth. The truth is the soul within, and the light that keeps shining brighter, and that is eternal.
Very true.
So because so many stars are coming out at night, and I'm talking about people watching the show, I believe that everybody is like discovering and offering their gifts. And I believe that we have softer hearts, more pure hearts, and we have higher intelligence, because it's natural. We all help each other to grow. I am certain that humanity has grown a lot. Individually and collectively. And I was wondering if you would read page 17 of Forever Free, the same book that you had out.
Okay, I got it right here.
Yep. It's called Light Warrior.
Oh, this is a good one. I read this one already. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to read it.
This is for all the digital soldiers and light warriors everywhere, because this is like that theme that came up. It's like, well done. It's like, gosh, you have to recognize sometimes. Good job. Look at all the progress.
Pat on the back. Kudos to you,
exactly.
to you, to everybody out there that's standing up and speaking their truth.
That's right.
So that's what we need. And the more people that do it, the more truth we get out there, the more that vibration resonates around and draws more truth. So
it's happening.
Yes. Okay. Light warrior. Never losing the divine connection, judged and criticized for life's direction, battered, addicted, confused, and abused, not knowing her power with his that is fused. Christed in wholeness, grounded in truth, conscious of purpose, inside since youth. Felt out of place in a world that is strange, knowing it would soon be rearranged. Masking one's power with low self-esteem, the sparkle reflects still in eyes that gleam, personally possessed with will that is strong, perseverance and soul power lasts all life long. Rising above circumstances with love applied, true Christ self ascended as ego died. The phoenix of power, once suppressed and martyred, is navigating new paradigms previously uncharted. Victoriously marching through all dimensions of time, the light of awareness demanding secrets and lies. The stark truth of reality is empowered by being. The light of awareness is consciousness freeing. Though empowered and free to roam and transverse, eliciting truth from the whole universe. One seeks to free all beings into light. It does not fear. Love is its might.
Yay! We are mighty light warriors. We have no fear. That's it. Isn't it?
Yes. Fearless.
We're fearless.
Put on your brave. I was playing that song. Put Your Brave On. That came out about 10 years ago, and I remember posting it around that time. But that is that's something that we all need to do, and that is what we're doing. More people are doing it all the time. The whistleblowers are coming out.
The stigma is being removed. There was a stigma, and there was people who were on the forefront, were considered nutcases and so forth because they were going against the grain. The first people that went against the grain, it was the hardest for them. And now it's It's becoming the majority.
Some of them paid the ultimate price too back years
Absolutely.
ago.
Yes, yes. God bless their souls. Absolutely.
Yes.
But now, I mean, you can tell the evidence that more people are listening to independent journalists than mainstream media. We know who the majority are. The majority are the people who are standing for truth, who are standing for God values. You know, they're putting woke companies out of business. They're speaking the truth. There are banners, there are movements, you know, there are community groups. I have seen so many people take a stand, you know, online in my community throughout the years. And I'm telling you, the light of humanity is really bright, and every individual, again, God says, I believe, well done. Well done.
Well done, everybody. Keep it up. Keep it coming. We'll wake those other guys up yet. They will be woken up eventually.
Yeah.
And if not by a shock that happens at some point. But anyway, nonetheless, it is good job. Well done, everyone. Everyone that stood up, took a stand. Thank you for being there. We need everybody on board.
And I would like to acknowledge everyone who practices unconditional love, whether you're awakened or unawakened. You know, think of the people that are not awake who love you anyway. And think of, you know, all the people that you love anyway, if they're not awake. Love anyway. You know, it's one of my
love conquers all.
Yeah. Yeah. Love anyway. So a lot of people practiced unconditional love, and they look at themselves to see, you know, because who can you really change at the end of the day? Only yourself. You know, you can change yourself. Yeah. And keep showing up better, and, you know, process those feelings, and, you know, just try to be as kind and compassionate as possible. And boy, when you really watch yourself and you're being vigilant, you know, there's always places where you're like, whoops, I didn't do that one so well.
Yeah. We still mess up.
We still mess up. That's right.
We don't mean to, but it happens. Or sometimes maybe the ego gets the better of you, or whatever it is at the time. Or you could think of, I could have had a higher response to that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yep. There was something here I was going to bring up. So when we say prayers, we say things like our Father when we say our prayer, you know, like, and this sentence here says, the term our Father signifies mutuality and sharing. The perfect life descending from God into the manifestation of self has been strained by mortal misqualification of its original intent and purity. Okay, so, but we keep going back to the light of the indwelling Christ, that Christ light within, which everybody has. Okay, so as long as you pay attention to the inside with prayer and meditation, the light overcomes all the darkness of the world, and it's within each and every one of us. So we have this infinite source, you know, right inside that we can keep going back to, which really, you know, that's a source of hope, and it becomes faith, and then it becomes knowing, and then it becomes strength, and that's what gives you that
courage.
Yeah, yeah, it gives you courage and that warrior feeling. So, you know, a lot of people, their intuition is growing, and so then they have discernment, and then they're inspired to go down certain rabbit holes, for example, you know, and then one thing leads to another, and synchronicities occur. And so we're getting evidence.
Yes. And share what you find, and get out there and find something. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's contributing by doing those kinds of things. And if you're not into the research thing, being kind and loving works wonders in the world as well.
Yeah. And there was another place here, and I'm trying to see where it is, but it was, It said something about the broad road will narrow, and we pass through portals of succeeding tests. We pass through portals of succeeding tests. And if you think about your life and all the challenges that you go through, and basically each soul has a blueprint. So whether it's a relationship test, whether it's a financial test, whether it's, all
those.
go
I'm just kidding.
with that. No, what'd you say?
I said I flunked those. When you said financial tests, I was just kidding, though. I was being facetious. I'm
You're a
sorry.
spiritual tycoon.
That's, much rather be that way, that kind of wealthy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything else shall follow. And we are. I know that there's going to be a transfer of wealth. We're going to have, everything from increasing social payments to the QFS, and no matter what the semantics or labels are, there's going to be a transfer of wealth, because it's only right. The meek shall inherit the earth. You can say it any way you want, but there's going to be a transfer of wealth, and that will happen.
Okay, I got a question for you, because this is something that comes up. I hear it every time we talk about something like there's going to be a transfer of wealth, or people are going to get funds that were stolen from them. There are people out there that as soon as you say that, well, then nobody will work. They can't do that. They can't possibly do. Nobody will work. Nobody will do. How will anything? That sounds like cracking the whip to me, but nonetheless, I don't think it's true, because here's the thing. Let me finish. The thing that I wanted to add was that, if there's free energy, if there are replicators, none of that'll matter. I mean, you don't have to have all these factories and all the kinds of things that we need until that transition happens will be far different, and it's not going to be an issue. People will do what they will follow their heart. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's actually the culmination. That's the end result. People will follow their heart. And that's the thing, because we can't think of old paradigm values and old paradigm ways. We are completely entering a different context of consciousness. The whole context is changing. So we were in a linear world. We were in a more of a 3D physical material state of consciousness.
Right.
The 5D state of consciousness is more of a spiritual state of consciousness. Our motivation is not money. Our motivation is to give back to a world of givers. We have soul gifts to give. Our joy comes from giving our soul gifts. And so the Follow Your Heart education programs that I'm creating in the Alchemy of Light project, these are Follow Your Heart programs so that people can find out what their gifts are as a soul. I do readings to help people look at their soul blueprint and find their gifts, because people want to know what their purpose is. And this is a new trend. People are looking for their life purpose and finding their life purpose and getting clear on their life purpose and a mission. And so when you have a mission, you're not doing it for money anyway.
Exactly.
And so the new paradigm is, and I stated this, it was almost 20 years ago. I was actually in a business group, and I said, in the new paradigm, people are not going to be working to receive money. They're going to receive money to do their work. In other words, you know what your mission is.
Yeah, I know that this channel would be much larger if I had the means to be able to, you need an IT person to maintain a website and to post everything that you want posted. I mean, it takes money to do some of these things to reach the most people. But
we need cooperative teams, Gail. You're going to manifest a team. A whole team will be built up around you, because it's not even just the money. It takes a lot of time to do all that stuff. I have the ability to do a lot of things that there's no way I have the time to do everything, that I have the ability to do, because, I'm doing writing, I do tech stuff, I do education stuff, I do reading stuff. And so we have to constantly set our priorities and make do with what we have in the moment.
Well,
So I want to say something to you, though, about your mission. You know, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of the promises of God is that you will receive fortunes and riches from totally unexpected sources so that you can deliver your mission to the fullest, fulfill your mission to the fullest. God knows where you're at and what you need, and you will receive it. It will be on God's timing, but it's a question of when, not if. And everybody, yes, do please help Gail, help us both. All people who are trying to do their missions without funding, you know, in the description box, there are, I'm responding to a comment there. And
yeah, I see that. Yeah, Lenny, thank you, Lenny. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it is an issue. Every month it's an issue, unfortunately, because my Social Security doesn't cover my rent. So I have to make extra somehow. And I do spend 90% of my time doing this, reading, researching, contacting guests, staying up on things so I can ask questions, being prepared. It just, but I love doing it at the same time. So I'm not, down on that at all. But
we're blazing trails. You're a paradigm pioneer. And so you're blazing a trail. And the person that blazes the trail does not have all the modern, tools and all the wherewithal, because they have the passion in their heart. And when you follow your heart, you follow your passion, and the money will follow. It will come. I guarantee it will come.
Thank you. Thank you, Lenny, for bringing that up. I'm always reluctant to ask. It's just, I don't know if maybe that's an ego pride thing. I don't want it to be, but it just really is, it really warms your heart too when people do help. I can tell you that right now. There are extra expenses as a result of doing this that I've been paying for about, well, I guess it didn't cost as much when I first started it. As I started to grow, it actually started costing more because they started charging for some of the platforms. And then there's a constant contact. They charge for that. And then there's, the platform that I'm on, there's a charge for that. And so there are people out there that have helped, or I wouldn't even be this far.
Yeah.
So I'm saying thank you to all you wonderful people. Thank you. I've been able to do it because of you. It's
angels. You are all angels that help Gail, and I've had angels come into my life. I had
look at your name.
Pardon me?
I said, look at your name. It says angel right on it.
There's so many angels in our world right now. They're swarming. We're swarming with angels. But I had an angel come into my life who really paid for publication, helped me pay for publication costs. And I would not have been able to publish these three books. And he's on the other side. God bless his soul. His name is Gary Fowler. And he helped me pay for publication costs. And this angel in my life, he crossed over at the end of February this year. And it was very, of course, difficult and heart-wrenching, that he suddenly, went to the other side just based on organic health issues, because it wasn't the kind of suddenly that we see in people that, he was actually a light warrior. He would never take, those things, or even, go to any medical anything. He was definitely one of those light warriors that always stood for the truth and, took action and, put his money where his heart is. And, that's why he helped support me so very much. And so the angels keep showing up in our lives, and we're going to continue based on intention and passion and trust. And we're just going to keep going. And that's what I've been doing. It's called bootstrapping, actually. I've been bootstrapping for over 20 years. And that means, you just pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You go with whatever you have. All the money, I've made money by working jobs. And then I've spent money on my usual rent, food, gas, transportation. And then all my extra has gone for venues, ink, paper, computer supplies, postage sometimes. And I have also spent a lot of my own money on publication. So bootstrapping is when you give it all you've got and you don't have anything left, but your passion's so strong, you just keep going anyway.
And you
And
know what? Pure faith helps a lot too, because there have been times when I try to stay positive, because I know as soon as you get negative, good things aren't going to happen as readily. So I try to stay positive and grateful. And sure enough, just when I need the money for something, either somebody makes a contribution or a sale is made or something like that, and I'm able to get it covered and taken care of. So
and you
I've
have
been
dedication and devotion and perseverance. And God says, well done, Gail. Well done. I never give her upper. A never giver upper keeps persevering and is dedicated and devoted to their passion and their mission. And, nothing will really stop us from succeeding. And there will be more and more angels coming into our lives and supporting us. And then at the same time, we're helping more and more people. And
right.
that's the intention and that's the plan, to help more and more people. We
And
are.
I thought it was a blessing when you contacted me to do this, because I was thinking about I wanted to do something that was more on the spiritual realm, because I saw the need. And that's what I try to do when I assess what's going on out there. I try to see a need, and then I try to bring forth people that are going to help people cope with whatever's going on and be aware. And
Well, it's really interesting how the political and the geopolitical and medical and all these things are clashing with the spiritual at this time. And it's really interesting because when that research movement with the 1-7 started, that was in 2017. Well, it was part of the election of 2016 was part of that. And so on election day in 2016, I was so not into the political realm at all, only into the spiritual realm. That day of the election, I voted with my soul. And what I did was I lived in a cabin in the woods right on near a creek. And so I decided that I was going to fast all day and pray for God's will. And that's exactly what I did. And when Donald J. Trump got elected president, I knew it was God's will, not just because that's what I prayed for, but I felt it and I knew it in my soul.
he's here on a mission. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And he is of the light, and that's why he's so attacked by the dark, because this world is run by the dark.
And truth is going to overcome. In one of these other things that I read, it was they called him Jesus in the book, but Yeshua, if you will, said that truth will subjugate the world. There's nothing more powerful than truth. Truth is winning, will win, winning more every day. Winning, winning, winning. We are winning. There's going to be victory of the light. And it's interesting because all the resistance to the Sound of Freedom movie, all the resistance to, and all the exposure of the three-letter agencies, the exposure of corruption, this is all God's plan and the truth, which we have worked for years, Gail. And all
Exactly. Yes.
yeah.
And you know what? As far as the Sound of Freedom goes, the big cat is out of the bag, regardless of who financed it or whatever. The most important point was to make people aware of what was going on.
Yeah. They're not going to put the genie back into the bottle on this one.
Nope.
It's too late.
In fact, we're going to find out more and more. That was level 1.
It opened up conversations. And I think that people really are uniting around this. They always said they were going to unite around the children. That has begun, and it's going to increase. I guarantee it. And I see it. And it's happening in my own realm, my own community, my own family. It's happening.
Wait till they find out how bad it really has been. But anyway,
well,
that is what will, out of compassion and heartfelt concern, in love, that will change it all.
Exactly. Let's let's see, there was something I had here. Okay. So we're also reuniting as souls. So those of us who came, we might have felt different when we were young. We might have felt like we were out of place because we didn't really blend in with the crowd, or we didn't really conform. You know, we had our own mind. We were always independent thinkers, or we felt different in some way. I want to say this, and I'm just gonna read this because, you know, it's again part of the message. Well done, well done. By holy prayer, all men can attain both oneness with God and the poignant reunion of souls. The poignant reunion of souls who have long been severed from one another by the betrayal of negative karma. The breaches will be healed. The fruit of man's labors will be made tangible and real, and the kingdom of God will be seen as possible of attainment by those who have underestimated the potential of life that is within them. What a boon to universal manifestation is to be found in universal prayer. Attainment comes as seed of God right here within thyself.
Wow. That's excellent. That's wonderful.
It's a testament to the unity that we are creating, because truth creates unity. I mean,
you know, people are going to come together on this childish year. There's no way we can't. Mm-hmm. It has to happen. It will happen. It's just bound to happen.
It really is. It really is. Hey, speaking of children, I was working with a child the other day, and I can't remember what it was he told me, but he told me his source of information. He goes, I don't know that because I learned about it, or I read about it. He said, my soul told me. This was like a 7 or 8 year old child. And I was like,
oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Well, they say the children that are coming in are.
My soul told me.
My soul told me. Wow. That's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. All righty then. Well, is there anything else you might like to add? It's 1:17.
Oh yeah, your time is 1:17.
No, I was talking about the, you know, we've been on. We're almost at
really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so hard to believe.
I know. I couldn't believe it. I looked up there and goes, oh my goodness. But anyway, so if we have, unless you have something else to share, we can call it a wrap for today.
No, I think I've repeated myself enough today. You know, God says, well done.
God says, well done, well done. Yes, you did a wonderful job, as you usually do. Yeah, you have a great way of explaining things. I love that. And so do other people. So it's great. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, listeners. And we'll see you again in another week.
Bye. We love you.
My heart. I got to work on it more. Goodbye. Namaste.
Namaste.
In Lakesh, too. Okay, bye, baby.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are, and like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers. Stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now. Rise up. Stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely